Team performance feedback. Hi guys, my name is Manish Kumar, and in today's session we will talk about team performance feedback. So let's begin it. And this is based upon my experience. So it's not about what is wrong, what is right, but it works for me. So I thought to share with you here. So there are two key things here in the team performance feedback. First is how to measure performance and sharing. So measurement and sharing, there are the two things. So let's begin with how to measure performance. So there are two factors here. One is the database where you have a defined metrics and you use them to check the performance. For example, I'm just taking an example that for a developer, if it is a team developer, so and we are using let's say agile, so sprint completion ratio, velocity, incoming defect rate per work unit of work, defect fixing rate. So there are multiple things like for to measure productivity, to measure quality. So we can define those things. Similarly, if he is a like engineering manager, you may want to implement these metrics at team level. Like as an engineering manager, what is your team completion ratio coming out? What is your team velocity? And what is your team feedback score coming from the team for you? So those things you can add depending upon the roles. And most of organization already have the data around this, so you can utilize it. Now, the second part comes here is behavioral, and we need to make sure we are like recording it properly and sharing it. So in the behavioral, there are the things which cannot be covered as part of data but crucial for a successful team. For example, engagement in meeting. This is very important for each team member to actively participate in discussions and meetings. If there is a person you feel like you are there, but you notice that the person is not too much actively participating, rather he's just waiting, okay, these guys will make a decision and I'll just move on. That is something which is like you need to record, or someone is doing great job, good job, that also need to be recorded. And the second thing here is repeated mistakes. So repeated mistake is something which need to be taken care right away. Otherwise, it's kind of like you are not moving ahead because that's gonna be a bigger problem in the employee growth and for projects and for organization also. Third thing is ownership. Like, is the person showing ownership or he's like, okay, I'll just follow with the push. So those kind of things need to be taken care of and should be. Generally, I take carry a notepad where I just note down the situation where we are sitting, what was the meeting, what was the discussion, what I notice there, that is the participation was not good, or I can see that there is lack of ownership, and all those things. So I record them and then I share it. So this is like something which is like important to be recorded along with data. So what we did here, we have the measure the feedback so far. Now the question comes how to share the feedback. So to share feedback, there are two things. One is like the organization feedback, which is like which could be quarterly, half yearly, or annually, which is called the performance review or feedback. So that is one thing. But you don't want to wait to share the performance or to share the data with the employee for that, like for the annual meeting or the half yearly or quarterly meeting. You want to do it like quickly. So what you can do here, you can utilize one-on-one meeting for that. In one meeting, what I do generally have 45 minutes meeting where I broke it 15, 15 and 15 minutes. And first 15 minutes is to talk about or understand or get data from employee. Is there any achievement or is there any issue? And then second 15 minutes are like to go over and understand what can I do better for you. And then the last 15 minutes I usually spend to share the feedback. And it could definitely, the good part, if someone achieved something, someone did excellent, that is very important to share. When we share feedback, it's not all about sharing the opportunities where they have to grow or improve. It's very important to share the good feedback, the excellent performance or achievements that motivates the person to work. So, like last 15 minutes are to talk about that. And here, if you have something where you want to improve or like have that person to focus more, then make sure no sugarcoating you are doing here. That is very important. If there is anything you want employee to focus, no sugarcoating, that should go straight and very honestly. For example, I'm just taking an example. Let's say a release got delayed by, let's say, 10 days, and after that everything went well and good. Now if you are meeting and like your discussion is like, oh yeah, I noticed that, God, but you did great job, you released the project and it was like we got the great customer feedback. No, it should be straight, like something like this, like, hey, I want to discuss about this release case where we delayed, or the release was delayed by 10 days, and share the numbers, the cost involved in 10 days, the feedback from the customer we got in those 10 days, and I want you to focus on this, that it should not happen again. So let's talk about it. What can we do better next time? So this should be very straightforward, honest, and if possible, along with the data. That will help. So in this 15 minute, last 15 minutes, generally if I have something to share, then I bring that up there. And as I said, no sugarcoating, honest, data oriented. So I just bring up, have you seen this report? It is saying like sprint completion ratio is going down. It's consistently at 60% while our goal is 80%. What is the problem you are facing? How can I help you to make it 80%? Or what can you do better to make it 80%? Ask the right questions, brainstorm, understand what is the problem area, make action item out of it. If a employee needs skills, some training, provide that training. If there is something like, sometime like a lot of task switching may be happening, or it may be all total something personal going on in the person life. You never know. But your job is to discuss, understand the key problem, actual problem. Don't work on the fake problems. You work on the actual problem, figure out the actual problem, and then work on the actual problem. Make the plan, set the goals clearly, and if needed, meet more frequently. So all those kind of things should happen as part of this one-on-one meeting. Now, once you share it with them and like you have the plan, you create the things and like now the time comes where like organization level performance review feedback happens, and it may be half yearly and some organization do quarterly also these days, depending upon whatever the cycle is. Just like go there, and your key job is to translate the entire thing into the performance review feedback language. And the best performance review feedback is, or like employee should not be surprised with anything. Then it means you did your job well. That's kind of a factor I always keep for myself. If your feedback is going for employee, is going through and there is something like, what? What's that? That's kind of reaction employee and like coming to discuss and all, there is definitely chances of improvement, and you can take it as an opportunity of improvement. Now, in addition to that, when one-on-one meeting happens, you share the feedback, you create the performance improvement plans. So there are two things here. One is like low performer, if your data is showing that yes, there are the issues, or you see your behavioral data is showing some issues where we have the opportunity to grow. In this case, you work with the person, create performance improvement plan. If needed, meet frequently, define clear goals and checkpoints, make it data driven, measurable, and adjust as time goes. So you create this for the low performer. Now, the interesting thing comes is like the excellent performer or the best performer. Sometimes engineering manager ignore that, and that's a big loss for the organization because it may result that the person leave the organization, your high performer person. So that's very important to be taken care of. If it is a high performer, your key job is understand what recognition that person want. For example, some people are like very passionate of technology, So they may be looking for something technical challenging. At the same time, other people are like maybe good for leadership, and they may be looking for certain kind of leadership role. Every person need different recognition. So it's an engineering manager job to find out what kind of recognition employee want and bring that opportunity to that employee. Sometime it may be the scenario, and this is like a real use case what I'm sharing guys here, that you need to be very open that you might have to let that high performer move out from your team because your team does not have that opportunity or you don't see that in a near future, and there is something in your organization going on which will help to motivate that high performer. So rather leaving the high performer the entire organization, better to be keeping him organization but let him go on the place where he will feel more motivated. Like for example, your team is working on a project, you are working, and like from last 3 years your working project is in kind of run the business state. It's does not have too much like challenging things coming up. At the same time, another team is spun up some kind of like uh, new technology work. So you need to make a decision here. Be open. Let the person move to other team where more motivating work opportunities available for him. And like one-on-one occurrence should be weekly, and that should be very focused. You should not be having distraction during that one-on-one meeting because it's his time. So if you have a phone and you are watching phone in the middle of discussion and things like, then that's like the worst thing you can do in one-on-one meeting. Try to put everything on the silent. If you have or your organization support it, go out for lunch where like you and him are sitting out of the like far from the organization or team or things like that. Let him speak and be a good listener there. He should feel that you are attentive, you are listening him carefully, and his words are very important. Only then your one-on-one meeting will be successful. And other thing we talked about is like no sugarcoating. If you will start sugarcoating, entire team will have the wrong expectations. They will never be working on improvement areas. They will never be focusing or pushing themselves hard to achieve something challenging. And over a period of time, you will have a like no motivation in the team, and people will be start seeking other places to go out or move out and things like that. So, no sugarcoating and the honest feedback. If possible, as much as possible, come up with the data. We have a preparation, have a notes with you where you have a star model kind of discussion. You tell about the situation, you tell about what was happening, what was the incident, and then you tell what you did and all those things and what came out as a result of it. You explain it properly. And now because you are frequently sharing the data, when the performance review feedback time comes, there is no surprise. The data already there, the employee know, they discuss it. You most probably will already be working on the improvement areas or opportunities, and the employee know what the best or what he or she achieved during the last cycle. So that is something. And now we talked about how to handle low performer, how to handle high performer. Low performer is common, like it's very simple thing, like everyone in engineering management life do it. But in case of high performer, it is very important, and a very crucial thing we discussed here is that you should be having your open mind if the person has to move out to just to grab opportunity which will motivate him. So understanding the right, recognition what employee want. The ideal team size of directly reporting people should not be more than 8 or 10 people, because then you will not be able to give enough time for each person. You will not be able to recognize or understand what kind of recognition each person needs. So just having that, and I'm not saying the entire team could be like maybe 100 people, 200 people, depending upon what position you are. But the direct reporting team should not be more than 8 to 10. So, yeah, guys, I would love to hear your feedbacks, your experiences, how you think, what better you do, and what is your experience. Share them. And thank you so much, guys. Please subscribe my channel and let's keep talking, keep discussing. Thank you.